This week on the podcast, Porgs, Fairies, Betty Goes Bad, Archie, Scooby, Simpsons, Star Wars Titans, and much more.
Hey, and welcome to Daddy Mojo. It's the podcast where we'll talk about parenting, all-age comic books, toys, and more. Now, here's your host, Trey Burley.
Thank you for checking out the podcast. This is Trey with Daddy Mojo, and this is the podcast where we talk about the new all-ages comic books. This week is for the week of December 20th, 2017, so it's the last new comic book day before Christmas, and there are some good ones, some good compilations, and some good standalone single comics to stock the stuffings, or stuff the stockings, whatever holiday you want to do, and as well as some ongoing things that you really want to be a part of. Let's kick things off with, ironically, the comic that started it all. I follow these folks on Twitter, as you should too, basically Archie Comics. And they put a tweet out about maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago that it was saying, hey, Riverdale's great, but Archie started it all. To that point, your all-new classic Archie, Your Pal Archie. This is a brand new monthly series that Archie Comics has out. And this is classic Archie, as the name implies. And these stories, who are they good for? They're good for elementary through middle school. Elementary school, you know what, it's going to be a stretch, and they may not relate to some of them, but you middle schoolers out there, maybe you middle school reluctant readers who maybe want to know about comic books, and maybe you want to jump into Riverdale, but your parents won't let you just because maybe it's not age appropriate, which it may not be, and I don't mean to sound like your parents there, but it's not. This comic book, though, this is your gateway. This is Your Pal Archie. It's an ongoing monthly title. And it is fabulous. Really, elementary school through middle school. You'll love it. It's only $3.99, and I really think you will dig it. Issue number 5, it kind of culminates the end of a story, so jump in here, but it's Archie, it's Riverdale. You'll catch on pretty quickly. Or you can jump into the graphic novel when it collects all 5 of the first 5 issues of Your Pal Archie when it comes out in about 2 months. Regardless, great comic book every month. Check it out. And don't forget your roots, says Archie Comics. I paraphrase. Now this one is our favorite new comic book of the week. And I say new comic book as in, well, hang on. I'm going to amend that and say it's a tie for one of the best 3 for us. But if you're talking about all ages comics, this one is the one that we're going to say, boom, this is great. Having said that, it's not going to be for everybody because it involves Middle-earth type stuff. It involves fairies, but the pedigree that it's coming from is top-notch. It's Jim Henson's Storyteller Fairies. This is issue number 1 of 4. It's from Boom Studios, and the Jim Henson Storyteller miniseries has been fabulous. They've done giants before. Dragons and witches have been their other standalone miniseries, maybe either 4 to 6 issues. They came out previously, and they were great. Really beautiful. The stories, the art, just perfect on every level. I readily acknowledge that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea because it's drawn in a very artistic way, not in a stereotypical comic book way. But the stories and the beauty, top-notch. If you're open to it, who is going to be down with Jim Henson's Storyteller Fairies? I'll say upper elementary and up. So, and don't let the term fairies scare you, because even when they had some of the earlier miniseries that may have looked kind of girlish for you boys listening, they still had lots of action, and they rocked. So I put nothing less than full confidence behind this one. It's Jim Henson's Storyteller Fairies, issue 1 of 4 from this miniseries. It's out this week. Guys, don't let the fairies fool you in this title. The art will transcend any adversary fairy you have. It's a bad use of the word fairy, but I had to say it. We are on Twitter, I should say also, just like Archie Comics and Boom Studios. It's at Daddy Mojo. Please follow us. And if you'd be so kind as to maybe share this podcast with a friend, tweet it out, we certainly would appreciate that. If your kids watch Nickelodeon, they've been down with this television show for a couple of years. It's Miraculous. It took us a while to really get it. It's interesting because it has some parallels to PJ Masks. And when the two came out, PJ Masks came out first because our kids were younger, so they grasped onto that much quicker. Miraculous, though, it took a little bit for them to latch onto and really enjoy. Now they're much more miraculous and very little PJ Masks, except for the 6-year-old. He still likes PJ Masks. So, go Masks! Miraculous Adventures, number 4, is a series of comic books. It's a monthly comic book from Action Lab Entertainment. And they're original stories that happen outside the narrative of the show on Nickelodeon. So you kind of have to be a fan of Miraculous, or at least open-minded to some elementary through middle school superheroes who aren't really superheroes in tights kind of thing, because you've got Cat Noir and Ladybug. They are visiting New York City from Paris, so they're doing the tourist thing, but oh no, the Trash Kraken is attacking them, wants to tear New York City apart, and it's up to Ladybug and Cat Noir to stop them. It's a really cute comic book, and I kind of grin when I say it, because I'm still not a fan of the show. However, the kids, especially the 8-year-old, he digs Miraculous. And 8-year-old girls, you're really going to like it, because truth be told, Miraculous skews a bit more female than male. A bit more, maybe 70-30%. It's up to you, but it's a great little series, and this is a great comic book. It's monthly, it's Miraculous Adventures, and issue number 4 comes out. Let's talk 3 things that are good for Christmas, Hanukkah, or gift-giving season du jour. These are 3 graphic novels, all of them awesome and all of them different for their specific audience. It's the all-age audience, of course. First up is ScoobyDoo Team Up. This is the graphic novel, Volume 4, that collects issues 19 through 24 from ScoobyDoo Team Up. Now, this is the Scooby-Doo classic series that has them teaming up with some of the DC Comics superheroes like Space Ghost, Harley Quinn, Frankenstein Jr. Obviously, Frankenstein Jr. not really a traditional hero, but if you go deep old school Hanna-Barbera, that's what we're talking about. Quick Draw McGraw and the Martian Manhunter. It's fun, it's silly, and the kids love this. I love it. Go to any elementary school library, and you will find this every month being delivered because some kind soul has purchased it for the library, or the library was smart enough to order it knowing that every kid in elementary school wants to read this comic book. And that is true. It's from DC Comics. This is a trade paperback graphic novel that costs retail $13, and it's great. Another one that's great, this is going to skew a little bit older, I'll say upper elementary through middle and up. And the and up, because I love this graphic novel in this series. This is The Simpsons Comics. This graphic novel is called Game On, and it's from Bongo Comics. Great, great, great. This collects certain stories from Simpsons Comics. We have the most recent graphic novel, and I'm thinking how many pages are in this? There were 5 to 7 stories in the last one. So I can't really think how many pages that is, but it was well worth the price of admission, and it's hilarious. Our 8-year-old likes it. He doesn't watch The Simpsons just because we haven't gotten him in the habit yet. As a longtime fan of The Simpsons television show, this is great because it's more all-age appropriate because the humor's there, but the punch and the attitude that a lot of parents don't want their child emulating that Bart does, it's in here, but because the vocal aspects aren't here, because it's a comic book, obviously, it just doesn't translate. But the humor translates, and it's great. Simpsons Comics, Game On, their new graphic novel. My Little Pony, that is one. This is aimed almost squarely at the girls. Those girls, it's My Little Pony Cutie Pie. This is a trade paperback. Now this graphic novel, it collects some comic books that were a standalone story from the My Little Pony comic book. So if you're saying to yourself, well, I've never actually read the My Little Pony comic book, it must be good. It is really good. Who likes this? 8-year-old girls. That's the sweet spot. And I say that with such resoluteness because there's an 8-year-old girl that the kids sometimes play with. And we had a new toy downstairs that she's been wanting to play with forever. And she came home and we were playing with it one day. And she said, I can't play now. I'm watching My Little Pony over there. So if My Little Pony can pull her away from a new toy that she's wanted to play for forever, then it must be good. And that's the point for this one. It's My Little Pony Cutie Pie. This is a trade paperback from IDW Publishing. The monthly series is great. This graphic novel, spot on fabulous for a gift. It's only $8 to retail, so it's pretty cheap. Another great gift is this one, and this is just a regular comic book. So you can get out the door for $3, $3.27 with tax included when you go to your local comic book store. It's Teen Titans Go. Issue 25 is out this week. Great comic book. If your kids have seen this show, they will like it. And kids elementary school and up like Teen Titans Go. However, similar to The Simpsons, I understand that some parents don't want to let their kids watch Teen Titans Go because it's a little bit manic and some of the kids are rude. It's not too rude for our kids. To each their own. Point being, this is a great comic book. It takes out anything rude or curt or edgy that you parents don't want your kids to read or inherit, and just has all the humor and goofiness that they can relate to. It's a seasonal holiday-themed episode 2, issue 25, and it's only $2.99, which is a deal from DC Comics. Star Wars is out, The Last Jedi. Have you seen it? We saw it, and we were kind of disappointed by it. That's why we didn't even do a podcast for it, because it's 2.5 hours, which is too long for our kids to sit through. But, again, it's a Star Wars movie, so lots of people are going to love it, and it's decent enough. We say that because there are 2 cool Star Wars books out this week. One is aimed squarely at the Good Night set, and the other one is very similar in that it's a storybook. It's a picture-illustrated book. First up, Star Wars 5-minute Star Wars stories strike back. These are some action-oriented stories that all take 5 minutes to read. The perfect good night story length. They've done research for this. It's 5 minutes. They probably have not done research into this. However, you parents, you know that 5 minutes is a really sweet spot for a good night story because you can make it longer if you need to, or if you want to, you can just kind of skip a page or read quickly. These are neat, and it's from Disney Lucasfilm Press. Retails for $13. Buy it through the links, and you can save almost 20%. It's a brand new collection also of 12 stories that take a look at different aspects within the Star Wars universe, including a couple from those characters that are in The Last Jedi. Great stuff. Kids love Star Wars. Even our 6-year-old loves it. And this picture book is one that's going to skew a little younger. I'll say pre-K through elementary. And even pre-K through early elementary. So if you have an elementary school student who's in 5th grade, they probably won't like this. But 3rd grade, that's going to be your ceiling for this one. It's Star Wars, Last Jedi, Chewie and the Porgs. How cute is that? If you've seen the movie, you know that the Porgs are in The Last Jedi, the perfect amount of time. The Porgs really could have been used like Jar Jar Binks, just annoyingly so, to where you wanted to slap them. But they were in there just the perfect amount of time. Great characters, and I loved them. One of the high spots of the film for me. This book, this illustrated book, is from Emmy Award-winning writer Kevin Schnick. It's a story about Chewbacca and the Porgs. It also features some illustrations from Fiona Hesh. It again is from Disney Lucasfilm Press. Retails for $18 because those illustrated books, the picture books, they could get beat up quicker because they're picture books and the audience is younger. However, the really good ones stand out, and this one looks really good. There are two comic books for the older audience that I am just flat out in love with. First off, I'll say who's good for it. I'll say teen and up. Maybe 11. If I were an 11-year-old kid, I would be into both of these titles so quickly, not even funny. Parents, use your judgment. If you're a kid 11 years old and you're down with the Marvel movies, you will be fine with these. First up, The Incredible Hulk, issue 711. Hulk has been one of our favorite superheroes for a long time. He ebbed and flowed for a couple years. This storyline, though, boom, it's Return to Planet Hulk. This is part 3, and if you're familiar with Hulk, Planet Hulk is one of the best Hulk stories out there. Great story. And this one has Hulk going back to Sakaar to do some damage. Great. This is issue number 3 of this storyline, and you can still pick up issues 1 and 2, most likely with these. Just ask the comic book retailer, and they've got them in the back somewhere. Oh, it's all Hulk. He's angry. He's fighting aliens. It's the way Hulk was meant to be. Really, just straight up anger, fighting aliens in space. Just have him join the Guardians of the Galaxy already, because that is where he would be most at home. Keeping it real. It's from Greg Pak and Greg Land, Incredible Hulk, issue 711, one of the best comics of the week. This one's for teens, but it's great. This one, too. This one is for teens, maybe even a little bit older. And I say older if you're a 12, 10-year-old who's not cool with violence or blood, not for you. However, if you like great art, fabulous storytelling, and are older, or you're that age and you're cool with it, and your parents are cool with it, Kong on Planet of the Apes. This miniseries, this is issue number 2. Issue number 1 exceeded all expectations, far beyond what we had. The art, the story is amazing, because what's happening is you're on the Planet of the Apes. And you've got Zaius, Zero Cornelius, and they're out doing patrols, and they discover Kong skulls. Check it out. And then in this one, issue number 2, I think they actually encounter dinosaurs and Kong. So you've got the apes from Planet of the Apes getting their comeuppance as they go to Skull Island, thinking they're the top of the food chain when they're not. What makes this comic book so great, and it's from Boom Studios, is the art. Really gorgeous. The art is similar to another comic that we're in love with, and that's Jim Henson's Storyteller Fairies. The art in the Jim Henson Storyteller miniseries, the previous ones, as well as Fairies, so gorgeous, so intricate, and again, exceeds expectations. Different artists were in Storytellers versus Kong on Planet of the Apes. Different artists, different storytellers, but the vibe is still the same. The depth and the level and the detail and the coloring. Wow, it is pitch perfect. Kong on Planet of the Apes, if you're older, you will fall in love with this, and you won't really find anything better this week. If you're a teen, it's Trey with Daddy Mojo.
Thanks for listening to Daddy Mojo. Be sure to tune in next time. For more information on any of the things we talked about today, just check out the website, daddymojo.net, or hit us up at Daddy Mojo on social media.